You're listening to The Business Focused Photographer. If you're ready to transform your photography business into a thriving career, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll discuss fun and innovative ways to boost your creativity and income. Sound good? Let's go. Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Today, I am here with an old dear friend, Casey Thornton. Casey is a newborn, maternity, motherhood, like intimate motherhood photographer who's based in the PNW. And Casey is just the queen of aligned brand and figuring out who you are as a photographer, infusing it into your brand so that your work is not only more joyful for you, but it's ends up being more profitable by default. And I think a lot of photographers feel like creating aligned work and making money are mutually exclusive, but Casey has definitely proven that to not be true. So we're not just going to be talking about niching down either. That's not really what this is about, where we're going to explore what alignment actually means as a business owner and why when it's channeled intentionally like Casey has, it helps you build a more sustainable and profitable business. So welcome back, Casey. It's so good to see you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I was looking back and I think it's been almost exactly a year since I was on last. So I'm very excited.
Pro- Probably, I think you were one of my first guests. So
Well,
it might be too. I don't know, but yeah, I'm so glad because I think I missed you in January. I feel like
you know what? You're
you
right.
were
It
in.
probably was 2 years ago because I
Mhm.
was, yeah, we were like in Vietnam right now or something. It was like,
You were you were
yeah.
you were literally in Vietnam. Yeah. Yeah, you have been a busy bee, just living your life, to the fullest. So, thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming back. I'm really excited to dive into this with you because it's something that's kind of been pulling at me this year. This year feels like the year to cut the bullshit and like really zero in on what matters to me. I don't know if it's because I hit 40. I don't know if it's just because work has gotten or marketing has gotten a little bit more challenging. It feels a little bit more like pre-pandemic and it feels like what's the point of all this if I'm not going to do it exactly the way that I want to do it that feels good to me. So I'm really excited. I'm going to shut up in a minute, but I was just telling one of my best friends that like this podcast is like free education for me. I just bring
Yeah.
people on and they tell me all this valuable information and I grow so much. So thank you for coming.
I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
I
pretty
think you're,
lucky. So,
it's a
let's like
bit
the
laggy. I'm like,
when
I
you
know
were
we're
here last uh-oh, are we
sorry.
technical difficulties?
It's,
Oh, it's probably me.
yeah,
It's it's probably me.
because it looks like
I'm
you're
in
like
the
a bit
boonies. But
frozen.
still,
A little bit. And then
boy,
since we're like pausing, I'm just gonna close this curtain because you can see I'm like slowly
sure.
getting really blinded.
You're gonna start sweating soon.
There we go. That might be
Let's
better. Okay,
see.
whew. I'm not
I
blinded. I can see him.
Awesome. So, the last time you were here, Casey, we just basically talked about how you built the brand that you build as an intimate motherhood photographer, and that's quite the niche. And for anybody who isn't like a devoted listener and really good at remembering things, Case what's kind of remarkable about Casey too is that she built her brand relatively quickly. And it wasn't like by luck, it was through being intentional and just making really smart moves and wise investments and doing the work. You know, it was not a passive thing, but she did it and she built something basically as quickly as you can build something that's meaningful. And you didn't have to go through as much as of the trial and error that many of other photographers have, but do you feel like there was a time when your work was not aligned?
Think it would be more so just in the beginning when I was just figuring it out. Just like every photographer does, I imagine, where you're like, okay, I want to do this, so I want to get paid for it. So if someone's going to pay me, I'll take their picture and try this out. But pretty quickly, every time I did just take a picture for money, it felt like a job. And I was, very aware that, okay, I don't really want to go do branding anymore. That wasn't really fulfilling for me. I don't really care about the images. I'm not excited about them, you know, not passionate about it. And I think because I was so driven to leave a career that was really great, but something I wasn't passionate about, it it really kept me like, okay, did that, not for me, on to the next thing, even when it came to photography. So I think mostly just in the beginning as I was trying to navigate what it is that I am really passionate about photographing.
Yeah. I mean that and like what a good motivator is to come off the heels of a good paying career. You were a dental hygienist that you worked really hard to become, and I'm
Mhm.
sure it paid well, but I think you've if I remember correctly, you just kind of fell out of love with the line of work itself. And it was like if you were going to walk away from a good paycheck, it had to be for something that you didn't hate. You didn't want to just like trade it for something else that you were neutral about, right?
100%. Because as far as jobs go, that you go in and you make a paycheck and you leave and you're not passionate about it, I couldn't think of a better one. I mean, I'd worked, like you said, so hard to get that career. And so, yeah, there wasn't going to be anything else other than something I really loved that I was passionate about. That when I had to leave my home, leave my baby, go make money, it was something really for me too, that I would enjoy. Not just be counting down the minutes until lunch or time to go home or anything like that.
Yeah, and I joke that, like, even on our worst days, even on something that I really don't enjoy doing, it is still way better than the alternative of a 9 to 5, but you weren't you weren't going to settle for that either. You were going hard, and what do you feel like made you decide to go all in motherhood? Because I will encompass your newborn and maternity as motherhood because my impression of your work is that you treat every shoot pretty much the same. It is always like maybe there's a newborn there, but you're still doing it's still all about like this intimate connection and the feelings and the mood and the emotions. So what made you decide to go in that direction and give that a try? Was it just the type of mother you had become? You realized that's what you would be drawn to as well?
Think motherhood in general is something that I've always really looked forward to and always knew that like I wanted for myself, and I actually always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And so then that's definitely not the case anymore. But I think from the beginning it was like, okay, I started taking pictures of my travels because I'm very passionate about traveling. And then we moved home and it was the pandemic and my friends had started having babies. And I was like, can I take pictures of you and your babies? And then I had my own baby. And I always say, like, I'm passionate about traveling, breastfeeding, and photography because it was, through my own breastfeeding journey, I became very passionate about that as well. And so I think that all just kind of like very easily fit together for me. And it was like when I started, yeah, my newborn sessions were kind of my favorite sessions, and I think it's just because it's just such a raw, like, delicate, sensitive time, it's just really, there's nothing quite like right after you have a baby, right? Like, that time in your life is just this little pocket that's really important and can make a big difference on your motherhood experience going forward, especially the early years. So I call myself like an early, intimate motherhood photography or intimate early motherhood photography, which does kind of encompass maternity, newborn, and then kind of throughout the toddler years, which is where I still am myself. So my daughter
Right.
just turned 5, and my baby is 1.5. And so I'm like, wow, I have a kid now. My 5-year olds, like, I don't just have toddlers and babies. I'm like in a kid stage now.
Yes.
But there's just something so meaningful to me about those early years and toddler years and just all the skin to skin and just, oxytocin that's released from being with them. And yeah, just a lot of vulnerability, which I think I really try to lean into myself as well, just like personally in life. And so, yeah, vulnerability, connection all kind of goes together. And so that's like a lot more fulfilling to me than like I need some updated branding headshots for my LinkedIn. That's just like, okay, cool. I might get to know you, but it's not that same like intimacy and vulnerability as those early years of becoming a mom.
Yeah, and if you are looking to capture vulnerability and intimacy, nothing puts it on a platter quite like early motherhood. That it's like it makes the work right, just like, here it is. You don't have to work hard. It's just like it's there for you to just capture. So I personally love that too. I love to be able to capture things that are a little more raw and without pretense, but I wonder also if part of what's aligned for you is being able to connect with your clients, not just what you are witnessing, not just the art that you're creating, but the experience that you're having with your clients, maybe that feels that's become important to you to be able to connect with somebody on that level.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it kind of goes back to even as a dental hygienist being in sort of like a caregiving role or a supportive role. That's something I did really love about dental hygiene. When I was younger, I thought, oh, should I be a nurse? And, so it's that same, caring for people um, in a healthcare situation is what came to mind. And then I've sort of realized I can still support and encourage and celebrate and honor and like all these things hold this space for moms during such a vulnerable period of their life um, without it being like, taking their blood pressure or cleaning their teeth.
Right.
It's like this
Yeah.
is a more meaningful. And I think, especially because I have been through it myself, everyone's experience is different, even with, each child. But going through it myself, it is really nice to be able to like personally, relate to my clients in different ways and have a deeper understanding of how they might be feeling. And yeah, I just really want to like reflect back to them and help them feel seen and held and all those things. And that's actually why I became a certified lactation educator in between having my two babies so that I
Right.
can continue to provide even like additional support and education for my clients. So I offer that at no additional charge or anything. It's just I'm seeing you when you're pregnant. I can give you resources. And then usually I'm in your home during those first few weeks when maybe you're trying to figure all of that out. And I can provide the additional support while I'm there and then refer you on to other people, with more education. So,
That's amazing, and, like, what a value. Just to,
yeah,
like,
I
straight
hope
up,
so.
what a great thing for you to bring to the table, and as you were really narrowing down your focus here and defining who you were, did you feel fear pop up? Did anxiety or nervousness about risk, or was it something that was immediately like an aha, "This is exactly where I belong. This is what I need to be doing."
I think as far as the types of sessions, maternity, newborn, breastfeeding, shower, bath sessions, stuff like that, that felt like, yes, this is what I want to do for sure. Then I think the fear pops up when you narrow it down even further. Aside from the niching, right? You're like, more than just niching, what does an aligned business look like? And for me, I had to evaluate, well, what types of families do I want to work with? Because everyone is different, right? Even in motherhood, they're having very different experiences and maybe they want different things and they're in different places in their life. So then it was kind of like, well, I'm not going to wrap up babies in little baskets and actually
Right,
I
right.
tried to do that a little bit in the beginning and then actually someone said that it looked like a funeral and then I couldn't get it out of my head and I was like I'm never posing a baby with like flowers surrounding them ever again. And so the things like that too, where, of course, I do like to capture a lot of body empowerment, even if they don't feel like it. I want to encourage them to lean into that and then hopefully help them feel empowered in their body and the changes because they're just like it's just the most drastic change your body can go through in the shortest amount of time, typically. And so to be able to lean into that. And so even during pregnancy, like I want to show more skin. And so working with clients who also want to have that experience. And then it's my schedule too, right? Like it's those little things where I'm changing or like a really I think maybe controversial one is that I still do and I like made it official that I do not take clients who won't sign a model release. And I'm capturing very intimate sessions, and I am taking pictures of a lot of children. A lot of people don't want to show their children's face online. Understandably, completely respect that decision. And so I can refer you to another amazing photographer in our area. But that is like a scary thing to stand by,
Yeah.
of like,
Can we talk about that a little bit? Like what had because this is a conversation right now, I talk about with my own clients from when I started my business 12 years ago to now. Back then, it was like maybe 1 out of 25 families would say, "Please don't put our pictures online." Now it's probably half, and I feel like it might tip to more than half soon. So talk about what made you decide to start requiring a model release and maybe what those parameters look like and how that's been received, any impact you've seen on your business.
always had a model release as part of my contract from the very beginning. And occasionally I would have somebody ask, like, hey, we don't show our kids' faces online. Or the biggest bummer would be when you go and you do a beautiful session. And then afterwards, they're like, hey, by the way, I forgot to tell you. And I'm like, you've already signed a model release. But of
Yeah.
course, I'm going to respect that and honor that.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter if you signed your model release. If you tell me that you don't want your kid online, I will never put them online.
Right.
It's just like super disappointing. And for me, if I love the session, right? Because for me, I have learned to accept that, like, I'm an artist. I'm an artist, and this is art that I'm creating, and I'm creative, and this is something I'm excited about. And, like, yes, I love the experience, and with my client, and it's like a service that I'm providing for them for sure, but it's also like a collaboration. And I want to be able to be excited and to be able to share. And I also think there's something really, really important about putting your work and putting your art and putting those things out there so that other, particularly for my niche, right, moms can see themselves in you, in your work, in your art. And other moms who have absolutely nothing to do with me or my client can feel, seen and supported, and they can feel like related to, connected, right? Like, helps other moms not feel alone when they're going through this season of early motherhood as well. It helps like encourage other people to feel empowered about their body through
Right.
these huge changes. And so for me, my work is deeper than just the experience I'm providing for my client who's hired me. It's like the meaning behind it for me as an artist, for the other
Yeah.
people, the other moms out there who will see that work. When I was like, I had my son in my shower at home. But I remember when I was, maybe it was with my daughter. This is like so, it's a little bit different. It is different. But like, I was trying to find pictures online or like videos online that showed literally a baby coming out of the vagina. Like, I wanted to see like its head crowning and like coming out. Now that I'm like kind of in that world in photography, I see it all the time and I still think it's absolutely incredible. Like, I had a really hard time finding that. And as somebody who was preparing for that experience, it was something that I really did want to see.
Sure.
And, I think just as a mom wanting to see, that you're not alone. And
Yeah.
so that was big for me. And I did have clients like the day that I made the decision of like, I'm not going to take on any more clients who don't show their kids' faces online. And keep in mind, I still have, I think, 4 families. So I just hit my 4-year anniversary at the end of March. So I've officially been in business for 4 years.
Congrats. Wow.
Thank you. And some of those clients have been with me pretty much since the beginning. In fact, one I saw during my Mother's Day minis, and she did like a 3-year
Oh,
compilation of like the last 3 Mother's Day. She doesn't show her kid's face online, but she allows like the back of the head and stuff like that. And so like of course I'm gonna keep seeing them. I'm not like not gonna keep that
you're not
client
shutting out
relationship.
your
No.
OGs. Yeah.
Yes. But I am not gonna take on any more. And the day I made that decision was I was going to do a newborn session, and I had been, she already told me, and I don't remember. It was just like, it felt like a lot of extra stuff where, like, for example, I show up and she had a printout, like a multi-page printout of images from Pinterest or something that were
Wow.
not mine. They're not my
Yeah.
pictures. There's some,
But
well, this random
printed.
compilation. Like literally, she had like a packet for me
Wow.
and like
This is
wanted to
another
do
one.
those. And this was just like maybe a year and a half ago. I was definitely at the point in my business where I was like, but and I had to say then in person to her, like, I can absolutely, we can try to create something similar, but like your gallery is going to look like what you saw in my portfolio. And like,
Good.
that's why you hired
Yeah.
me. And so we can absolutely like try to make time for this and recreate something similar. But just so you know, like this booklet is not what you're going to get in your gallery. And you hired me to have, something similar to my portfolio. So after leaving that and just like having it be like that kind of client experience, and they were ones that, like, didn't wanna sign a model release. I don't know, it just kinda pushed me over the edge where I was like, "Let me just not that's not the family for me to work
Right.
with anymore," and there's just so many incredible other photographers in our area that are perfectly happy. Also, just, like, organizing, how am I supposed to keep track of who did and who didn't sign a model release when I'm trying to post on Instagram every single day? It's really
Huh?
it's already hard enough
No.
to post on social media every day, let
No.
alone keep track of what families I can and can't share. It just felt like one too many things for my ADHD brain, so
But that's
just
incredible
cut it
that
out.
that's incredible that you've been able to implement that policy and uphold it. And yeah, it sounds like that client was not aligned at all that with the pit. I see. I didn't think that happened at higher price points.
Well, so
I
what's
thought people
so
stopped doing
funny,
that.
yeah, she actually did, after I delivered her gallery, sent me a message saying, like, they were so thankful for me and the work that I did and the time that I took, and that, they actually did end up giving me permission unprompted that I could use their images in my
I love when that
portfolio
happens.
after the
Nice.
fact.
So
And
maybe
so
they
I'm
were.
like, yeah, so that's fine, but it's still kind of held that that's not for me. And the way I do it is I just make that really I have it in quite a few places, of course in my
Right.
contract, even on my website in a couple places, so that I don't really get anybody now who says afterwards. And if they do say like, "Hey, is there any more just showing the back of the head or something because we don't show her face online," they don't ask me not to share those because they already are very aware that, like, okay, she's going to use it as an artist, as a business owner in her portfolio, but like they just don't want to share it to their Facebook or something. And so
Right.
I haven't had
Yeah,
anybody else
I
ask
get
me not
it.
to.
Yeah, I can totally appreciate it, and I'm, like, on the fence personally, even with my own kids, but, so like you said, I respect all my clients who are private, and even, like, some people get pissed, some photographers get mad, they'll have a client who wants their photos kept off of social media, and then they go to that client's social media, and they have pictures of their children, but, like, that's their page. They have their followers. Maybe it's private. Like maybe, they don't have the reach you do. Maybe they just told you you can't, but they can. Like it's not our business. Like
Yeah.
it's not. And for you to just decide that that's not a conversation you want to have anymore, so that it's not even some like good for you. Good for you. That's
Yeah.
impressive. And like, I'm sure a lot of
But
people
it's
will be inspired.
definitely things like that those are kind of the scary leaps of like, okay, I'm only going to take sessions, this day, this time. I'm only going to take sessions for this or that. Like that, the narrowing down of what you want your life and your schedule and things like that, turning people away. That's kind of the scary part. But I really do believe and know, because it's happened so many times, that there is a photographer that's right for them. And then other photographers send people to me too, that, I'm the right fit for that person. And so I just really believe that there's plenty to go around and we can all refer to each other. And,
There, let me clarify something. There's plenty to go around when you have truly identified who you are as a brand and an artist. There is less to go around when you are okay being one in a million, just blending in, doing the shit you see on Pinterest and like, like then there is less to go around. But there is plenty to go around when you are the only Casey Louise photography. You are the only person doing what you do in the way that you do it. And I mean it truly, not in the sense of like everybody's special, everybody has their own unique perspective. You have to really work on what in the way that you have, Casey, to set yourself apart and to do it in a way that's natural to you so that you can stay on that course in a way that feels right. And then you just keep you become more and more unique with each passing year. I don't mean to diminish it. You're only 4 years in business. So that's like to have that amount of clarity and such a strong identity so early on, and that you've had for a few years now is, that's the hard work. That has taken me so long, and I still am not quite where I want to be as far as setting myself apart. But you're right. There is going to be somebody for that client who's not a good fit for you. And in the other direction, there is somebody who is looking for exactly. And the more that you can speak clearly on who that is that you are and what you do and why, the harder that attraction is going to be for somebody to resist. That Why do you think that so many photographers avoid doing what you've done and what you continue to do?
In the way of just, like, maybe niching down or setting boundaries, things like
Yeah,
that.
like really you've customized a business, but you've also just about really refined a niche. You've taken a niche, um, and you've made it more niche down into something that I don't really see very many other places. So why do you think that's so scary? And many photographers are anti niche and anti specializing and things like that.
Yeah, well, I have met photographers, and maybe you were one of them. I asked one time in a group, like, "Why haven't you niched down?" And some people genuinely said that they do love and enjoy the variety. Like, for them, that is fun, and it's a challenge and all of that. And so for that photographer, that's wonderful. And I bet that probably shows in their work as well, and like the
Right.
relationships they're building and all of that client experience and referrals and all of that. For other people, maybe they're still figuring it out, and maybe they have a harder time leaning into their intuition. I had a strong motivating factor behind me of, not only do I have to replace my dental hygiene income because I do have a financial goal, I do have to make this amount of money and I don't want to do dental hygiene. So I have to make this and I have to make it consistently. Um, and it has to be something that I'm passionate about and that I really love, because that
Yeah.
is the whole point. That's
That's the
why I'm
point.
not going into a dental office.
Right.
So more than, like you said, just replacing the income, replacing it with something I truly, truly loved. And I think mindset is a hot topic now, and maybe it has been for a little while, but there's like a fear mentality or a lack mentality or a scarcity where you're worried that what happens, like, you need the money, you need to make this amount of money. And so you don't want to say no. And like, okay, maybe it's fine for now. And like, maybe that is fine. Maybe there are times, but so I'll tell you, there's a way that I was managed to stay aligned without doing just maternity, newborn, and breastfeeding. Last year, around this time, April, May, were just crazy slow months
Right.
out of nowhere, like the slowest in my 4 years of business. And I did want to kind of get creative. So there were times that, I'll be totally honest, where a family that I've photographed for the last few years, I did their maternity, I did their newborn. They had grandparents coming in from out of town. So they asked me if I would do, a family session for them while their grandparents in town. That's not early intimate motherhood. It's like
No.
kind of extended family, but it is
Yeah.
for a client that I've already connected with. I'm already capturing their journey. So it's just an extension of that. Or I partnered with a local ice cream shop down here in Snohomish. Sorry, I'm so blind.
It's okay. I see the sun is
Yeah.
moving.
I partnered with a local ice cream shop here in Snohomish, and I don't do a lot of mini sessions. My mini sessions are only a couple times a year, and they really are to see my returning clients. They're almost always just fully booked with returning clients. But I did these mini sessions and I thought, well, maybe this will be a good way to like connect with my community, connect with another local small business. There's so many young families in this area, and it's the end of summer. And of course, they're going to go to the cutest little ice cream shop on the corner on First Street, you know? So I partnered with that business, did ice cream minis, and some people booked it for their grandparents and,
Cute.
but these other families that I've seen, oh, I did their newborn session, and now it's just like a cute little family outing. So kind of getting creative in those ways where again, it wasn't maternity, it wasn't newborn, it wasn't breastfeeding, but it was still connected and it was still related to these returning families, to connecting with community and just visibility, getting myself out there, having a fun creative experience that still like was personable to me. I mean, I took my kids there to get ice cream, right? It's still fun things that I do with my young children. So in that way it's still related and aligned for me, but it's not like just niche down to these 3 sessions.
Well, I think you just defined what the difference is between niching and aligning. And Chloe Ramirez does this really well, where she is obviously a high-level photographer who is extremely successful, but she's photographing families, couples, weddings, and maybe a little boudoir. So it's like, what is that through line? And because she has figured out what is the common denominator there for all of it for her, and then that's her alignment. These she picks and chooses. It's still very specific, and I'm finding the same thing in my business right now. As you know, I have associates, and one of them is is a she is a former wedding photographer. So if we get an inquiry for weddings in the past or couples and the proposals, that sort of thing, she would do them, but I've never marketed them. And this past year, we decided that we would build out some wedding packages and things like that. So I've been working on the brand messaging, and it's the same as my family brand messaging. Even though I'm not the one shooting it, I still need to be able to market it. I still need to be able to believe in this thing that I'm selling.
Mhm.
Um, and it's this actually the same exact brand messaging, even though they're totally different branches of the industry. So I think that's the ticket there. It's not necessarily niching. It's it's aligning. So like what is it about? Like so for you, a big part of your alignment seems to be taking place during the session. And so if you can do these things that are not necessarily within your niche, but are still like fulfilling that same need for you as an artist, then it's aligned.
Yeah, absolutely. And more than just the types of sessions I'm doing. And again, I think it's so important. What I've really evaluated and kind of done throughout the last 4 years is reevaluate, what do I want my schedule to look like? How far do I want to drive? Um, Things like that where you need to I'm always kind of reevaluating my schedule and my time and where I want to spend it, right? So you can think about like outsourcing certain things that you don't really love to do for your business, or I have associates now too, and so that's really helpful. Like sticking to my how many sessions do I want to do a week, because it could be very easy. It was, I was doing like 5 to 7 sessions, but I only want 2 to 3, maybe 4 if I have to squeeze in a newborn, in a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you don't wanna double the amount of sessions you're doing because you don't wanna say no, or you're scared they're
Hmm.
gonna go to somebody else. And I have lost people because they didn't wanna wait 2 weeks or something, And then that's fine. Then they didn't really, really want to work with me. The people who really, really wanna work with you are gonna be so excited and love their experience and love their images before they even get them, sometimes before the shoot even takes place,
Right. Right.
because they already feel connected to you. They already like, no trust, the experience that they're gonna have, the gallery they're gonna get, and they they've chosen you. And so that's who I want to work with. And so I have to stick to my boundaries as well. Because otherwise I don't want to feel resentful about something that I love and the time away from my children. And so that's something that or even like admin tasks, I'm always trying to just reevaluate my schedule and make sure, like, are we getting enough time as a family unit? Like, okay, I'm with my kids all the time. My husband and I have a date night once a month, but like, when are we all together as like a family of four? And just trying to still lean into what's important to me. This year, I made goals like once a month, I host a friend dinner at our house on a Saturday night. So that's a Saturday night that I can't go do a sunset session.
Love it.
And my family, wants to do like a Sunday brunch once a month. So there's things like this that are getting plugged into like my usual work days. And it's a little bit of like nervous system regulation where I'm like, I can and should make my family and my friends a priority. And there are other ways to navigate my schedule and my business so that it can still be just as profitable, if not more, and feel very aligned to me. Something that I'm not like, oh, shoot, I never get to see anyone or my family because I
Yeah.
have to go do these sessions. This is for me and it's, obviously very lucrative as well. So,
Well, that is the thing that I feel like there's a false binary that is within the community of like, if you're not feeding into the trends and you're not doing the things that people want, quote unquote, air quotes, that people want, then you really are probably gonna have to cut your losses. But I think, yeah, I think it's the opposite. I think it's more lucrative to be this aligned and this clear on who you are, what you do, and why. What so let's like we've danced around this, but can we define what aligned work really means for you now that we've talked about it for 35 minutes?
that's funny. Um, to ask the question so directly because I do feel like there's so much that goes into it. But it's just doing aligned work and aligned business to me means showing up authentically and only doing what like truly feels good, like something that I love. And yeah, I guess that's like the shortest answer I could give. I think like
Well, okay.
being authentic and doing something I love feels aligned, but you have to be really honest with yourself about what that is. What are your boundaries? It also means holding boundaries, which
Right.
is difficult for a lot of people, myself included.
Do you consider, like, and I'm not trying to be funny, but like when it comes to admin work, because I can't imagine most, if any, admin work feels as a line for you. So what like do you draw the line beyond that? Like how do you square that when you are trying to make this entire business aligned, or do you reconcile that that is just going to have to be not so beautiful?
Yeah, no. I set up automations. So, I don't feel like I do a ton of admin work. I was just like thinking, and I've mentioned briefly, I do have ADHD. I was diagnosed as a child and it doesn't go away. I was on medication for a lot of my childhood and I'm not anymore. I learned, ways to manage it. I'm pulling up my phone because last night I was like, I should write down my weekly tasks. Like, what do I even have to do every week? It's just all up here. And I just
Right.
with 2 young kids, I do it when I can, but I have a lot of things, automated for me, and I batch work, and so those 2 things help me a ton to not have to do that. And so, I don't know if you want me to read it, but I did these little,
Yeah.
you know, edit and deliver, Cole sneak peeks. I use Imagine AI now. I use, Photo Mechanic for culling, and then Imagine AI for my base edit, and then I go through, so it
Okay.
helps a lot,
Yeah.
with even that kind of work. Batch post reels. And now I'm an educator as well. And so I have a Facebook community called the Aligned Photographer Collective for anybody who has actually invested in education with me. And so that's becoming a super active, incredible community that I want to make sure I'm nurturing. every week, every Friday, I'm sending out an email to my photography community and check in with my weekly clients, check in for wardrobe styling for 2 weeks out with like clients 2 weeks out, respond to just client correspondence, check my emails and whatnot. And then I do one on one personalized mentorship. So I have those. I'll do 3 a week, like 3 people at a time. So it ends up being 3 meetings. And then I just need to update my Google Calendar that I'm sharing with them if they want to join in for in-person sessions. So anyways, I wrote that. I like was trying to think of everything out of my head of what admin tasks I actually do every week. And when I did it, I was like, "Oh, that's not even that much." It just didn't feel like that much to me.
Yeah.
And just like when you get it really clear and stay organized and which I like just said how unorganized I am, but trying always. And then you
Right.
just have it in front of you and you set things up. I mean, a lot of my email correspondence, the whole booking process to getting their client lounge, to all like those things where they can see styling guidance, location options, questionnaires. It's all automated for me. So there's not a lot of back and forth other than like, hey, your session's 2 weeks away. Do you have outfits picked out? Do you want to send me pictures and I'll give my feedback? Or did you want anything for my client closet? And then can't wait to see you Saturday. Well, looks like the weather's good. See you at 7. Do you have any questions for me? And that's like pretty much it. So I feel like there's not a whole lot, all my invoices are on like recurring payment or auto pay. So, usually I'm not chasing anything down and it's just all done because I set it up, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. What about it's April 15th and I don't even want to say the word. But what about like your bookkeeping and your taxes and accounting and everything like that? Is that all outsourced?
No, I do it myself actually. And it's just the way I have it all set up financially, like my business bank account and the checking and the savings. Ugh, one frustrating thing that I switched to an LLC after I was making a certain amount of money. So now they want me to pay my sales tax monthly. That's really annoying. I don't have to
Oh, so
do. I'm like, come
that's a
on.
Washington thing.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, "Can I please pay quarterly still?" And it's like they were like, "No." But I actually have this mamapreneur like mega planner that I love, love it. It is so detailed and specific and organized. I mean, by the hour, there's just so much. It's incredible. I like have to send you the link for it for
Yes.
anybody who
Please.
wants it because
Please.
it's really amazing. Um, but every month at the beginning of the month, it's like tasks. And so I just have those that I just reference. It's the same thing. Do my sales tax. I order magnets, birthday magnets for my 1-year-old clients who are turning one.
Oh, cute.
Just like some of those monthly things, which include my sales tax. And then I just every month I pay myself. And so I set aside my federal taxes and I have all my business expenses on one card, one place. So it's just really
Nice.
simple and easy at the end of the year to reference.
So you've got that all. And I mean, but that is all part of making sure that you don't hate the job or that you don't resent the job. You get these systems in place and like even with ADHD, you're doing it. So kudos, that is
Things like that
you
planner help.
know.
It helps a lot.
Yeah.
Writing things down help a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I we are
Definitely.
fighting the same demons and sounds like you have a leg up and I do not, but that's okay. That's okay. Um
There's different levels of it for sure. I had
well,
to be
yeah.
like hyper functional. I think honestly, to become a dental hygienist, becoming a dental hygienist really, really helped me manage some of those things
Really?
that have helped tremendously in running and growing my own business. Absolutely. And it was just so competitive and so much that, it was highlighting and writing things down and rewriting things down and then going through them. And I had to have like this hyper level of organization that definitely helped.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Sure.
sure. Uh, well,
Slowly moving over.
what would you say to somebody, and this is a little bit of left turn, but like if somebody does have a version of what's aligned for them, but it's not really filling a gap in the industry. There's doesn't seem to be a market for them. What advice might you give them? Quit? Like, what do you think?
I would be, what is it? Hesitant to, like, believe that there's not a market for it.
Yeah, agree.
Like, when you're saying there's not a market for it in the industry, I don't know. I kind of feel like no one's the only one who wants something or is drawn to
Mhm.
something. Like,
Yeah,
we're all unique in our different ways, but you're gonna find your community of people who like it. I think it's more of a matter about, like, finding those people
yeah,
and
I
putting
agree.
yourself in the same places who are interested in the same thing as you. What does that look like? Where are those communities? Where do those people show up? So instead, I really don't think it's more of like, oh, there's not a market for what you are trying to capture. There is, and maybe it's small, but then maybe it's just gonna be more niche. Maybe that means it's gonna be more profitable because you're the only one, and it's like, where else are they gonna find this? Um, and so I would encourage them to just do a deeper dive into where their community might be hiding
Yeah,
out and make
I think that's great
themselves
advice.
the one, you know?
There is a lid for every jar. Like, I believe that. I feel like even in less populated areas, I think that I do think the market always exists. I agree. I think that's great advice. What did that look like for you when you were figuring out who your people were and how to speak to them and where to find them and what has that turned into for you?
So, there's a lot of intimate motherhood photographers similar to what I like to capture in Australia.
Hmm.
Australia's like really big for that.
Huh.
And there's some, maybe in the UK, my friend Jen, who's in Montreal, but even there, it's like some places you're having to educate with people, right? And like you be like, when you're creating work that I think has meaning and emotion to it, people are going to feel that and they'll be drawn to it if it resonates with them. And so sometimes it's just a matter of like nobody knew what lifestyle photography was
Right.
at first, right?
Right.
Until it became a thing. And so this intimate motherhood photography, hashtag motherhood photographer, motherhood photography, intimate motherhood. It's not really there as much. It's definitely a slower burn. And so I think it's just like putting it out there like that, mere exposure effect. Like people have to see it and they have to see it enough times to feel good. Sometimes it's like, when I think about positivity and all these things, societal norms, right? Maybe some things like that are a little bit more taboo or, you know, in that vulnerable space. So I think it's just putting your work out there enough so that people see it and they feel comfortable with it. And then the right people who it resonates with will find you. And so I think for me personally with my intimate motherhood photography, it was just a matter of putting it out there and showing it more. And actually, even I was thinking recently, I share my maternity, newborn, and motherhood, but I hadn't been sharing as much of my like shower bath sessions. And even though, people aren't, I actually am not getting people being like, can I just book you for a shower or bath session? But
Right.
people book me because they see that work and they see the trust and they see like they feel the experience. And so maybe they want to hop in. I just had a maternity session where she got in the bath at the end. She asked, like, can we, the second half, it's a block from my house. Can we go and do a shower bath session? Or they're just like already there. Maybe they don't want to get in the shower or bath, but they're in a bra and underwear just because they already know that's kind of the vibe.
Right.
And so I'm like, I need to make sure I'm still sharing that work too,
Yeah.
because that's what
Yeah.
I feel the most like passionate and connected to.
Yeah.
And so I think just putting it out there, putting out what you want to attract, right? Always.
It does work. It does work, and it certainly and it can be a disciplined act, especially as you're growing your portfolio to tuck those really great branding shots that you got into a folder on your desktop that you're never gonna post to Instagram, even if they're great, just to make sure that you are staying consistent. Um, so another thing we've danced around is the profitability of being more aligned.
Yeah.
So g- what is that intersection? Where does the alignment meet profitability, and why? I know that you, like I do, there's like you believe in the the power of mindset and the little bit of the woo that has to go with earning money and doing aligned work. But what where do you think that falls on the pragmatism versus woo spectrum? And maybe it's both.
Yeah, I mean, I like talking numbers. I'm happy to talk numbers. I feel like more people should talk numbers. I think it's
Sure.
great, the transparency. And so I'm happy to share what that has looked like for me. Actually,
Yeah.
just sent out an email because I was going back through, and I had a friend ask me recently, like, was it just, like a jump, like what did you do to like start being profitable? And the truth is, the first year I started my business like at the end of March, and that first that year when I did my taxes, I had made $25,000. And then the next year I made $75,000.
Yeah.
And then the next year was 96, and then this last year was 101. This
Way to go.
year, these first like that first quarter, triple the amount of any other first quarter that I've ever had, like way bigger. And I'm only getting more aligned every all the time. I'm always reevaluating. I'm always creating time and space for those friend dinners, for those family brunches,
Yeah.
for the days as a family of 4. I'm only doing more and more of that, and, the numbers just keep going up, like, by a significant amount this year. And I will
Yeah.
say last year, I took maternity leave. I took a two-part maternity leave where so I took at least 12 weeks off of business, and I made, my first 100K year.
Yeah.
And but I mean, I had my baby and that was my priority, and I wanted to travel the world with my family, and so we traveled the world together. Um and so I think that's a bit where like the magic comes in, where when you're like, "Oh, how much of it is like practical versus woo woo?" And like you said, like I do the work, and I do the automations, and I do the marketing, and I show up authentically, and I do all the things I can think of in all the places. I have cards, flyers. I don't do any paid ads or anything, but I'm like social media is free. So I post on Instagram, it pushes to Facebook. I hopefully provide a really great client experience, which will help word of mouth and personal referrals, and
Right.
do all of like the logistical actual marketing things I can think of to get my work out there and get clients. I'm on page 1 of Google, so my SEO is really great. I feed into my Google business profile. I'm doing all of these practical things, but I've always been doing the practical things. And the other part of it that is, continuing alongside of it, of course, there's always more things that we're learning and growing and implementing in our business. But also I've continued to honestly kind of like prove to myself that it is safe to live a life and business that is aligned with your values and your goals and what you care, like what you love. And then the numbers just go up. So I'm like, I don't know. I will like won't be busier, and I will make like 2, 3 times the amount of money. And like I know that it's on paper, but again, maybe it's just my brain can't function where I'm like, I can't actually tell you anything I did differently other than truly believe that it was going to happen. And
Yeah.
like I know that sounds like not helpful. Just believe in yourself. It
Well,
feels like not helpful, but I'm doing both things. I'm believing myself and I'm putting in the work, you know?
well, what they say, like, you don't have to believe in manifestation, but you're going to continue to manifest things, whether or not you are being intentional. So you may as well. But I mean, it's much more than that. I am also seeing a trend, and maybe I'm projecting because it's a trend that I've seen in my own business, but the boundaries are a big part of alignment. And the boundaries for me have also led to boosts in my income where one year, and I don't know why, I know why actually I went back on this, but one year I stopped booking weekends and that was like a record-breaking year for me. Like weekends as a family photographer, that was big. So I have noticed a trend too, and it seems like that's a similar part of your alignment is the boundaries. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Boundaries
Yeah.
are a part of it, a part of alignment because again, it's about not feeling resentful at all towards what you're doing in your business and you have to set boundaries. Otherwise, you'll be driving to a session thinking like, "Man, I haven't seen my kids. Like, I wish I was home with them and man, this sucks. This is like taking so long that I'm going to feel like hurried. Like I want to hurry up and get home and I'm not as present and I'm not as patient and that's not what I want in business, and
No.
that's not what my clients want either. They want someone who is excited to be there at their session, who's fully present, who's patient with them and their children, and, is really just as satisfied about the experience as they are, because they can feel that. Even if you, like,
Oh, yeah.
are putting on a face, like, they can feel if you have angst to leave. You
Right.
wish
And
you
it
weren't
shows up in your
there.
work. No, yeah. It's yes, it is. And it's all the more reason to pair your self alignment with niching. If that means that, like, you know what, if you're dreading every time, and I'm just talking about myself, like you have a wedding on the calendar and you're dreading it for the 7 months leading up to it, why do that to yourself? You're not going to show up as a great photographer. You're not, it's just when that was another way that I made more money was when I stopped taking weddings. Even though they were several $1,000s at a time, it was always a nice income boost. It When I stopped doing them, I made more money. And
Yeah.
it's like that's not a unique story. I've heard the same thing from so many photographers. You set those boundaries in place. You cut out the things that are sucking the joy out for you. And it's a lot like The Big Leap, I know that you read that too, right? It's
Yes,
it is a
yes.
lot like that, where it's like the more that you refocus and readjust and try to just keep on chasing that exact version of what you want your life and career to look like, it just benefits everybody. Um, that is you've I love this conversation because it's super beneficial for me. Hope other people are liking it too. Do you have any sort of tips for like a sort of audit or for a photographer listening who knows that their work is not aligned, who knows their business is not aligned? What
Yeah.
metrics should they be looking for? Is it like vibe or whatever? Both.
Well, I think a couple things that come to mind that I just feel like I should say is, when we're talking about, oh, I gave up weddings or I gave up this, or like, what do I do if I don't think there's a market for what I'm wanting? I think about like boutique stores, right? Or like really high level brands where they do pop ups or they have a limited series or a limited edition, right? Like it is more valuable and people pay more money for it. Those places, those high-end boutiques where they're just one of a kind, right? Like that's where those things are going to be more expensive in that boutique. And so I think of any business in the same way, even, photography. And then as far as just staying aligned, of course, when it comes to niching, I've said if you go do a session and you're like excited to go do the session, not just like, yay, I'm getting paid, but you're like excited about what you're going to capture. And then you have a great time while you're there, that you're not keeping track of the time. You don't know what time it is. You don't know how long it's been. It's just great. It flows well. You have like a session flow, hopefully planned for yourself. But then you're like, oh gosh, look at the time. I better go. But you weren't counting down the minutes by any means. And then you're excited to go back and look at the images. You're excited to edit them. Then you can't wait to show them to the clients. You can't wait to share them online. All of those things are like really great signs to keep doing those types of sessions and or keep working with those types of people, those types of families. So evaluate, like, what was that? Was it the type of session? Was it their personalities? Was it, what was it about that I really enjoyed? And focus on that and then try to lean in towards that. Talk about that. Even when you share those images online, talk about what you loved about doing that session for those people. Um, because you're going to make it really clear to anybody who then sees that like, oh, that sounds like me. She would want to work with me. And I like her work. And, it's just going to attract people who are
Right.
aligned to you in that way. And then when it comes to schedule and boundaries and all of those things, anything that you're like procrastinating and you don't like and you're frustrated, like for me, I know that I'm out of alignment when I'm mad or frustrated. And so I listen to that. And if I'm like angry or frustrated, then I know that I either need to come up with a better system, like automations, something like that, or I need to outsource it to somebody else. And then when it comes to my schedule, yeah, am I feeling resentful? Am I in a hurry to go home? Do I wish that I wasn't going to do something? Then I've overbooked myself, or I'm driving too far, and then I'm going to send an associate to do it instead, or I'm going to say,
Yes.
no, I already have 3 sessions this weekend, but I can see you 2 weeks from now. And if you can't wait that long, here's my associate or here's somebody else. It's okay. Like people are, if you're overbooking in a weekend, like don't be scared that you're not going to get the bookings that you want a
Exactly.
week or two from then. It's a good sign
Exactly.
if you're overbooked.
I mean, we've all the ebbs and the flows in work are a thing. But I just think back to some of the hardest times that should have been a drought where, like the pandemic, for example, where I think most photographers ended up with banner years, either 2020 or 2021, um, as a result. So it's like nothing, no dips are going to be permanent. And there's always going to be more work on the horizon. This is what a great conversation, Casey. Thank you so much. Now, before we head into our lightning round, tell people about this Aligned Photographer Collective and what it is and the what happens inside there.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, but one thing that you did just bring to mind that I also wanted to share was that I heard recently about the ebbs and flows of business. It was like related to farming, but it's cyclical for anything, right? You prepare the ground, you sow the seeds, you water it every day. Farmers don't then dig up the seeds to check to see if they're
Right,
growing, right? They
right,
believe that they're doing the work and they know and they
right,
trust that like they're putting in the work and they're laying the foundation and they know that there's going to be a time for harvest, right? And then they know there's a time where it's gone and they have to do the groundwork again. And it's a cyclical thing that ebbs and flows. And for my business, this has ebbed and flowed at different times of the year. It's not always December, January, February that I'm sowing the seeds.
right,
It
right.
has changed depending on what's going on in my own personal life or the economy or anything like that. But I do trust that there's times where I'm laying the seeds and watering them, and then I'm going to get a bountiful crop. And I just thought that's a really good analogy that I
It is.
liked to hear that is helpful for other people too.
Well, that's
So the
exactly like how I think of marketing and like the most beneficial long term heavy producing crops are the ones that you have to plant way far in advance and do maybe a little bit more legwork, but it is a great analogy for running a business and marketing in general.
Yeah. Okay. So the Aligned Photographer Collective is a collective that I created for a community of photographers who've worked with me through the education that I offer. So I have online guides and courses. I also offer one on one personalized mentorships, just three at a time. And they're like 3 month long increments. And then I also love to host in person workshops and retreats once or twice a year. And those are always so much fun because community has been an incredibly important role in my success and just my journey through entrepreneurship and as a photographer. And so of course I met you through Elena's community. There's a small local community here that does monthly community meetups where they have a guest speaker every month. And it's just really wonderful. And I've had such meaningful friendships, and we can learn from each other and encourage each other. And, anyways, community is really important to me. And so it was a no-brainer that I definitely want to create a community. I actually have a Facebook group for moms who hire me as their photographer as well, so that, like, the moms I've worked with can connect with each other.
Yeah.
And then this photography community, it's anybody who's worked with me, invested in me, I guess, financially as an educator through the guide, through the mentorship, or an in-person workshop or retreat. And so, yeah, it's just another place for us to connect and support each other, encourage each other. We do fun challenges. This week, we're doing a social media challenge because it can be difficult to show up, but Instagram has made me thousands of dollars and it's free and it's free to use. So even if it's a total pain, I'm gonna keep using it. And,
Right. Yep.
yeah, and so I'm gonna encourage other people to do the same, and it's just fun to be able to support each other in fun ways like that, ask each other questions, and be in community.
Great. And so what are some ways that people can work with you before joining the collective, as an educator?
Yeah, well, I think you're gonna link the Aligned Photographer Collective
Mhm.
website here, and that has all the ways. But the guides, the online guides, I have a maternity session guide, a newborn session guide, and then I have my Golden Mama online course, which is all about photographing a maternity session at the beach during golden hour. So way trickier than you think that it is, but
Mhm.
perfect timing because golden hour is upon us. We're like entering
Mhm.
those summer months where everyone's going to
Yes.
want to be at the beach during sunset and it's very crowded. So I have that course. Those are things that you can work through at your own time. And then I have my one on one personalized mentorships for anybody who wants more support. So, again, it's one on one and it's personalized. So, we meet weekly, direct access. It's just me and the photographer. And I, of course, have an agenda. I know where they're at in business and I know where they want to go. We've established that. So, I have um, a set plan to guide them there, but anything that comes up during the week, we work at their own pace, which is really nice and helpful of like, okay, we're going to make progress in real time together, not just like watch me give my spiel and then go do it on your own time. I want to
Right.
like
Right.
support, more hand holding, I guess, for anyone who needs and wants that.
Yeah.
And then yeah, my in-person events. So that Golden Mama in-person workshop. Again, it's the golden hour maternity session at the beach. I like to do that in August. And then every winter I host a retreat. That's so far just been here local in the Pacific Northwest, but it's beautiful and it's a small, intimate, intentional group and we shoot motherhood sessions together and learn. We did a sound bath this last time, had a
Oh,
guest educator. So yeah, just that in-person connection and community building. So, and then
great.
I could be a podcast guest for anyone who has a bias. I love coming on and being a guest on podcasts.
You're a great podcast guest. You really
Thank
are.
you.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
fun. I love it.
it sounds like your events and your education is also just as aligned and intentional as your portrait work. So, well
Yeah.
done. Well done. Are you ready for lightning round?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the lightning round. Yes, I'll try.
Sorry if we repeat, if there's some of the same from the last time. What's your desert island lens?
What?
Yeah, you can only choose one.
My 50.
Okay,
Yeah,
good choice.
it's
Good
just my
choice.
my nifty 50. It'll get it everything I want. Yeah,
Yeah, yes. What about Rolling Stones or Beatles?
Beatles.
I would say correct. City or country?
Oh, ooh, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. Probably in the stage of life country.
Yeah, yeah. I get it. I like both too, but yeah, if I'm gonna live
Yeah,
there, country. Oceans or mountains?
oceans for sure.
And um, i- studio or on location?
On location,
A natural light or artificial? I guess that answers that.
natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dogs or cats?
Oh, this one's so hard. This has changed since we lost our puppy in
Yeah,
December. So
you lost your dog,
I
right?
lost our dog. She was 5.5. So
So hard. But you have a puppy now?
now we have a puppy because my
Okay.
heartbreak could not handle it.
I did the same thing.
Yeah, I was like, "I need him now." And so it's just brought a whole new love for dogs for me because I always wanted one, and I was like then I had her, and I was like, "I'm never getting a dog again. I'm for
And he's
sure
gonna
a
get
cat
boy?
person." And so then we had a boy. So she was a girl, and now I have a boy, just like we did with our human children.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
have my Alfred, my sweet, handsome, majestic Alfred kitty that I love so much, and he's
Oh,
literally moved to Germany and back with me. I've literally had him almost half of my life. And so, I for sure will always have a cat. Oh, it's a tough one. Probably cat if I had to choose cat.
me too. Me too.
I
It
know,
so
but I do love
Alfred,
dogs so much now.
how old is he?
He is almost, what is he, 14, almost 15? Yeah.
I was so my Fred was my, like, my soulmate, my cat,
Yeah.
and he passed just shy of his 15th birthday last year, but there's just I don't know, I don't connect with I have 2 cats now that I love them, but they're not Fred. So, like,
Yeah.
but when you connect, like and my Fred traveled all over with me too, not to Germany, but everywhere.
Yeah.
He's, like was with me everywhere, so it's like, yeah, I don't know because when a cat likes you, it's like
Oh,
my
yeah, you are
your
their
dog
person.
probably likes everybody, right? My dog likes
Yes.
everybody,
Yeah, of
but
course, but, like, Alfred would, like, bite my chin or lick my face, and even my husband, he would not do that, like, I am
yeah,
his mom.
yeah,
And I got him
yeah.
when I was 20, so, like, he's 20? Yeah, I think 20, and so he's just gone through all of my 20s and then getting married and having kids and a family, and the poor guy doesn't get a whole lot of attention these days, but at night,
Aw,
when everyone else in the house is quiet, he's like, "It's my time." And,
exactly.
yeah, so I'm just soaking up
Yeah.
as much time as I can with him, so,
I thought you were gonna say dog for sure, I didn't know about Alfred. Aw.
yeah, my Alfred. I know he doesn't get as much attention online, but he's very majestic. I need to post more pictures.
Yes, please, I will soak those up. Okay, newborn or maternity?
Maybe I'm just missing the fact that I'll never be pregnant again, so I'll say maternity.
Okay. I'm surprised to hear you say that, but,
Yeah.
um, I know. I could see you with a lot of children. I could see you
Thank
with a
you.
lot
I
but I
will need
know it's
sleep
like
or I'll die. I can't survive another year of no sleep.
does he not sleep?
Neither one of my kids like sleep. I don't know why. I'm like, "Don't you're tired. Don't you want to sleep? Wouldn't this be
Hey,
so great for everybody?" No.
one
No.
day.
I like to
One
sleep.
day
Yep,
you'll
one
be
day.
yelling at them to get out of bed, but yeah. I hear that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now as far as photographing other people, shower or bath?
Ooh, I like the shower.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I gave birth in the shower, and I think you can sit down in the shower still. I shower with, like, that is how I get to shower daily is with my kids. We have a big shower. So it's nice to be able to, like, bring them in and they just play around and whatnot. And yeah, it's a place of comfort. It's a place of, like, relief and reflection and healing. And yeah, I could literally shower for probably days and,
So
like,
you
not
also
get out.
prefer a
I could
shower.
live in the shower and I would be fine with it.
That's an episode of Seinfeld where Kramer just moves into the shed. It really is. It's a good one. Okay. Last one. I have to pull it out, but educating other photographers or your portrait work. What do you prefer?
That's so tough because I couldn't educate other photographers if I hadn't done my portrait work, and I'll never give that up. I love photography. I've loved photography since high school, and oh, that's a tough one. If but I also really love sharing. It's a tough question, Jill. Tough question. Um, I guess for now I'll still say my portrait work.
It does tough. Somebody asked me that question and I don't remember even what I answered. I don't
Oh
know what I would
gosh,
answer now.
it's
So
very
sorry to do it
hard.
to you too.
Yeah, because my I think the trajectory is that I will do more educating than I will. photography. And it's the same thing. So I'm helping photographers, especially mothers, create aligned, profitable work without sacrificing, their values or motherhood. So it is that similar connection. It is that
Right.
similar, I see what you're going through in these stages of motherhood and business building and supporting them along the way. So there's a lot of like similarities and like you said, like through line within that. Um, but at the end of the day, I do really love photography and
Yeah.
love connecting with them the way I have. And so, yeah, and I won't ever give that up. I hope I don't ever stop doing either.
Yeah. Well, that's a great answer. Good. Well, tell everybody how they can find you, look at your work now that we've talked so much about it and connect further.
So you can definitely find me at it's just alignedphotographercollective.com. And on Instagram, I am photography by Casey Louise, based out of Seattle. And those are probably the best places you can find and connect. And I'm always open to conversations and connecting. So if anyone wants to send me a message, any questions, thoughts, I'm always here and open to it.
Yeah. Clearly, Casey is very nice and very approachable. So, thank you for coming back.
Thank you
I love
so
this
much.
conversation. So
Me too.
inspiring.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We'll do it again soon, Casey. You have a good day.
You too.